Subscribe today.
Hi guys, it's Vanessa James welcoming you back to Industry Shift. I am so excited. I know I say that every time, but this time it's like speaking with family. And not only that, but we're talking about wine. I'm very excited to welcome my colleague, Mr. Derek Epps, to the conversation. Derek and I have gone back now probably 15 years. It's been a while since my time in radio, but I've watched Derek also really, transcend the wine industry and really, create a whole new lane for himself as it relates to wine. And I just launched an event which he knows about because you sponsored it last year, or not too long ago. But Food, Wine, and Fete, where we talked about Caribbean people loving wine and no one marketing to us, right? But now obviously everything is upended, Derek, on its head. So I really wanted to bring you on as a multicultural marketing professional in wine and spirits to talk about what's new and what's trending with wine, because the statistics are out and apparently people are consuming a little bit more wine and spirits than normal, and tequila and scotch, which is, as you know, my favorite, are leading the way with liquor, but then also, and vodkas, but then also on the wine end, rosés and cabernets and pinot grigios are definitely, I feel like if there was a Olympic race and all the different wine categories were, like running for number one during the pandemic, it's thrown some things off. So the Usain Bolt of the class group probably wouldn't win right now because people are really switching up their wine palettes. So first of all, welcome to Industry Shift. Thank you for carving out some space for me to talk today. I will give you the floor now. How are things with you in the wine industry?
Well, first off, thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for bringing me on. I'm glad, shout out to you for your creativity and always launching something new, especially in the middle of a pandemic. And shout out to you for launching Food, Wine, and Fete at the beginning or end of last year. That was an amazing experience to intertwine wine and culture and dancing and everything else and food. It was amazing.
Thank you.
We are trekking along here in the wine and spirits industry. I'm fortunate to be in the industry for over 17 years within sales, within marketing, within experiential, doing great events around the country. And now with a strong focus on multicultural marketing and following my personal passion for diversity and inclusion. Which is the hottest topic in corporate America, period, but especially in the wine industry, where it's the acknowledgement that there is a diverse group of people that love wine. And this diverse group of people, the demographics of the country has been ignored by the wine and spirits industry for a long time in relation to marketing and in relation to opportunities to be employed within the industry. So we see a major shift happening right now, which is great. We talk about D&I. There needs to be equal representation of all people for businesses to grow, and especially for industries to grow as well, because you need those various perspectives. And of course, at the end of the day, we need people like yourself, Vanessa, who love Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yes, I do.
Sauvignon Blanc. That diverse palette that you have, we need diverse representation in the industry. So it's great to see where we are right now.
My palette is expanding. I'm very proud, and I want to thank you for that.
No problem. I guess I gave you a few tips over the year, right?
Just a few. Like it's so funny because Marcos, my partner, doesn't drink at all. So I'm like, don't worry, I got you. I got us both covered, okay? But so when we have salads and seafood, I'm like, no, tonight it's time for white. And then I've been dabbling into like the Black Girl Magic, who makes an amazing red, like a red blend that I'm loving right now. McBride Sisters is just really killing it. And all of their wines, by the way, that I've put other people on from Food, Wine, and Fete they love it. So wine back in the day was something that you'd have at dinner and, something that you'd have for fine dining. And now it's just exploded. And now, in this new wave, obviously, I feel like during the pandemic, it's even heightened it. I literally left Total Wine just for a couple bottles and saw two women putting 2 cases in their trunk. I'm like, where y'all going? They're like, it's a long week ahead. So
they are planning ahead, which we all
planning ahead.
Some people have put on the wonderful COVID-19, and I think that's all come through the responsible consumption of alcohol beverages, which it could be irresponsible because we're all at home doing it anyway, which is a whole nother conversation about the industry. As we're coming through COVID, the consumption rate is up, and it's actually great because we're seeing new audiences, new consumers that are entering into the space, entering into wine consumption, alcohol beverage or spirits consumption, and even you can talk about seltzers. Seltzer is probably the hottest thing out there right now.
So let's talk seltzers, because, by the way, as I'm very much dialed into the stock market, I'm going to butcher it, but I do believe it's called Boston beer. That's killing it right now in the seltzer game, because they're doing hard seltzers. What is going on with seltzers? And I have missed the memo because, again, I'm stuck on scotch, tequila, by the way, that I'm trying and liking now, and also on wines. So
I would say it's a combination of a few things. It's, you know, this the not the health craze, but we are more conscious of our health. You know, we're more conscious of self-care. So younger generations are actually moving away from alcohol beverage consumption like previous generations. So, you know, it's all about you. I don't know what's going on. You know, they know something we don't know. But, you know, that allows the industry to really pivot and be innovative and create beverages that are appealing to this younger generation of 21 age plus consumers that are coming into the space. And that is through low alcohol, different flavors. And it's coming through something that you think about a hard seltzer is a seltzer or a spritzer, something that our grandparents probably did by pouring wine and sparkling water or 7-Up together.
Spritzer.
So it's
spritzer. I mean, that's all they had in Brooklyn at 4 o'clock or Upper East Side in New York, right? Back in the day, a spritzer.
So let's say it's nothing new, but it is a shift. And, you know, as an industry, the wine, beer, and spirits industry are making the big shift. And it's great to see because, once again, that's another way to bring those new legal drinking age consumers that want to enjoy alcohol beverage into the space. And hopefully, once they do the seltzers or the spritzers, they'll gravitate into the wine and the spirits and be everyday enjoyer or a casual enjoyer, where you now moved from that novice wine consumer to that wine expert like yourself, or just use it for food pairing purposes.
I wouldn't consider myself an expert, Derek, but I would say, like I mentioned before, that my palate has definitely expanded. So I have a few people to thank for that, including you, Donna Thurston, who of course launched, you know, his Lafette Rosé, which I love that rosé, and I always, champion it. McBride sisters, I love their red blend. So for instance, my girlfriend, Nicole, who I had earlier on the show, was talking to me about red Zin. I had no idea that red Zinfandel, I'm serious. I had no idea that red Zin existed.
Red Zin is actually my favorite wine. You know, Zinfandel as a variety is actually the largest grape planted in California. And, you know, I know you've been following Brene Royal on this doing great things. She actually makes a wonderful Zinfandel. She grows Zinfandel grapes that makes a wonderful Zinfandel wine. But, you know, I'm glad you mentioned diversity. You know, diversity is so important within this industry. You just shout out a lot of Black-owned producers, and we're seeing through everything that's going on in society, the importance of supporting Black-owned businesses, recognition, finally giving recognition to those Black wine professionals that have been in the industry for the longest, but they haven't had the recognition. And now you can look at what wine media is doing as well. Wine media is finally telling the stories of the Black wine makers, the Latino winemakers, those Psalms, the Psalm community. I know everybody saw the movie Uncorked on Netflix.
I loved it.
Powerful, inspiring movie. I'm pretty sure they drank some Zinfandel in that movie. So it's amazing to see the shift that's going on in this industry. It's energy, it's excitement, it's a path for growth for the industry. Because when you think about multicultural marketing, you think about diverse consumers, you have to look at growth. Because we know that the demographics of this country are changing. We know that brands and companies have to understand how they have to reach new sets of consumers in order for them to continue to grow. So I think it's great to see the growth. But also, you know, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. We're still fighting through COVID.
Yeah.
There are still people that are struggling with employment. So unfortunately, over time, you know, we've had people in this industry that have been furloughed or laid off, but somehow the industry is still holding on. Half of the industry, you know, because we know what's going on with the on-premise side, our bars and restaurants. So shout out to those that are still thriving and surviving and being innovative and figuring out ways to maintain their business throughout these challenging times.
Absolutely. So let's touch on bars and restaurants. Obviously, a slew of them have closed, you know, and it's one of the industries that have been most affected. And now they're saying that a lot of bars and restaurants may have, you know, gone dark forever. Space. How has that really changed and shifted for you in terms of how you guys are managing, you know, flow?
Yep. Well, you know, all the salespeople within the wine and spirits industry, well, primarily the wine industry, have really had to look at how they manage their business. Because if you say you've lost a whole segment of the industry, yes, some of those accounts are coming back, but you don't have those big time wine accounts where you used to be able to sell in your whole portfolio, because now it looks different. You know, most restaurants that are open are operating at 50% capacity right now.
Right.
You don't have the influx, but thankfully through legislation, we've seen a lot of states that have opened up legislation where people can take wine to go, which was something you typically couldn't have done in the past. You have cocktails to go now, so you have innovation,
which is huge.
Which is huge. It's huge. But I'll say from my expertise on the retail side, I've spent a lot of my career on retail. All the growth is on the retail side. You know, platforms like Drizzly, Instacart, all these wonderful delivery services, because nobody wants to leave home because it's not safe to leave home, you know, without a mask, of course. We see the influx of sales on retail side. So it's unfortunate that the on-premise side is still struggling. And, you know, there's innovative ways that they can continue to drive and grow their business, or not grow their business, but sustain their business. But, you know, we see a lot of gains on the retail side. And from a marketing perspective, it's great to see multicultural consumers now discovering wines in this retail setting where they see a much more variety. Because if you looked at on-premise, you're limited to the variety of wines that you'd be exposed to based on what you order on what's on that wine list. So challenging times, but then also inspiring times as well for some people within the industry.
Absolutely. So speaking of inspiring, what you are in the hotbed. Well, you were in the epicenter of COVID. Yep. New York City and Florida took the crown from you. So how is New York managing in this time, and how are you doing overall, just with your family, your kids in NYC?
So literally, I think my wife and I did the math recently, but we're about 160 days of being at home, work from home, virtual learning, keeping our kids entertained, turning our house, this is my everyday backdrop right here, into a playground, a gym, the dog run, the dog park, you know.
Oh my goodness.
Because we're cooking everything. This is my bar because I'm drinking wine all the time here. But, you know, it's been an interesting transition. But, you know, I will say that I'm thankful for this time because it put a pause on my life. You know, in the past, I would travel all the time for work. So I think about, you know, I have beautiful children. I have a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and my wife is expecting baby number 3 within the next 3 weeks. So put life on hold, and I was able to take that extra time and enjoy that extra time at home with my family. See all those milestones that my kids were accomplishing, and, you know, enjoy that time with my wife. It was challenging, not to say it was easy, but we made it through, and it makes me reevaluate life of how I show up in my professional setting, of how I do that whole work-life balance thing that we all struggle with. But thankfully fortunate, been able to continue working from home throughout this time. So I'm surprised we've been talking for 20 minutes now, and I haven't had a distraction come over.
No dogs, no kids.
No dog, no doorbell ring. No
Don't jinx it.
No
Don't jinx it.
I'm winning. I'm winning today. Today's a good day.
You are winning today. So I'll wrap with this. What are you sipping on?
Let's see here. So the funny thing is, I've actually made the transition to box wine just out of ease. Because,
by the way, I always felt like that was so faux pas. Like, I feel like that's my grandma's drink, the boxed wine. But apparently, even boxed wine is elevating their game now. After I tried that dark horse that you recommend.
Because there's premium wines in the box category, and it's all about convenience. You know, we're not running and going to the stores and going to bars. We're consuming at home. So do whatever's convenient for you. Drink what you want. Just drink responsibly, and, you know, find what you want. You just had a conversation about rosé, Zinfandel, Sauvignon Blanc. You didn't even mention champagne or sparkling wine. I know you love the bubbles.
And that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
The great thing about this industry, it creates formats, sizes, 3 liters, 1.5, little mini bottles for consumption, so that everybody has something to offer. All right,
so to wrap this, we're going to do a speed round, okay? All right, speed round with Derek and V to close Industry Shift, our wine. Yes. Let's get ready. Let's get going. Okay, so I'm going to ask you about a wine category, top of mind. What should, not just what you're sipping on, but what my audience should know about and be sipping on too. Ready?
Got it.
All right, here we go. Red Zin.
Red Zin. I go back to Brene Royal. She grows grapes for a wonderful wine called Mount Peak, and it has a wonderful Zinfandel called RattleSnack Zin.
Okay. Chardonnay.
Chardonnay. Chardonnay. Let's switch. You know, I'll do some wine education here. Sparkling wine or champagne is pretty much produced with the Chardonnay grape. So I'll throw out, just grab a bottle of sparkling, brut sparkling, and most likely you'll have Chardonnay grape in there.
Is there a brand?
No brand particular. Just grab what you like.
Okay. Prosecco.
Prosecco.
I need a brand though, so my people know what to go buy.
No, I would say something maybe like La Marca Prosecco, the Tiffany blue bottle.
My fave.
I know you love that one as well.
Okay. Rosé. Hello.
Rosé.
Hi, Rosé.
You mentioned it earlier. I'll give a shout out to Dane Lafette Rosé. He's doing some amazing things. You know, he's changing the narrative around who can consume or who should consume rosé. His rosé is coming from the south of France, and he's a brother in that space. You rarely see men represented in consumption of rosé. And here we go. My doorbell's ringing. See?
You need to go get it?
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Next, Cabernet Sauvignon.
Cabernet Sauvignon.
Just
because I know you've been there, Louis and Martini. They are known as the king of Cabernet from Napa Valley. I know you've had a chance to enjoy their tasting room. So I would always say Louis and Martini for Cabernet Sauvignon. All
right. Louis M. Okay. Sauvignon Blanc.
Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah. I can give you my fave.
I'll say region. I like New Zealand. You know, when I think of Sauvignon Blanc, I think of New Zealand because it puts me in this zone of nature is beautiful. The wine is going to be fresh. It's going to have that nice grapefruit, that nice grassiness, but it's just going to be so refreshing. So I like to take my mind to New Zealand since I haven't been there. So I always pick a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc.
I will say, though, my favorite Sauvignon Blanc to this day is the William Hill Sauv Blanc. I love it. It's crisp. I do tend to like the Napa Sauv Blancs because they're a little bit lighter, a little bit more buttery, you know, with salads. And anyway, look at me. Anyway, okay, let's close this sucker. Okay, so Merlot.
Merlot. Actually, I cannot recommend a Merlot because I haven't had Merlot in a while. So I'm just going to leave that up there. I'll let you choose a Merlot and you recommend it to me. That's one grape I never truly gravitated to.
Okay, all right. I have to do my Merlot research. I'm gonna go with
my dog wants Merlot.
McBride.
He said
yes,
Merlot.
McBride sisters. And last but not least, a red blend.
A red blend. I'll actually give a shout out to, you know, I think one that everybody knows is just something fun. Apothic. It seems to be like the hottest red blend that's out there. They're doing some cool and creative stuff. So I'd say Apothic would be a great red blend that, you know, something that brings people into the category. So everybody should try some Apothic.
All right, there it is. That is Wines on the Go with Derek Epps.
Thank you.
I appreciate the countdown.
Look, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate this time and this opportunity to
absolutely
to be part of your platform and share a little bit about history and my knowledge of wine and my family as well.
Absolutely. Derek Epps, thank you so much for joining us on Industry Shift. Go grab the doorbell. I will see you soon.
Welcome to light working from home in New York City.
Always. I know. You got to love it. You got to love it.